So, when I was doing the podcast with Dibs, the Under the Bar 2, a week ago, I mentioned something on there and I said I'd elaborate on it more, which I'm going to do now. I think it's one of the fears people experience when they start wanting to start some kind of training program, bodybuilding, fat loss, whatever, because it takes a lot of lifestyle changes that your friends aren't going to be doing. So, that's going to cause some conflict on what you do when you go out and ways to adjust for it and all that shit. So, I want to talk about how your environment changes as you start into that program and as you stick with it. People we have a sense of pack mentality to a certain extent. So, everybody's got friends and everybody wants to go do stuff with friends, but when you start doing things different from your friends, that means that some of those friends are going to fade off in the distance, and that's not always a bad thing. But, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, which I'll get to in a minute. For example, you on the weekends, you can't go out and drink and shit. And so your friends are asking if you can go out, and you can't because you're going to fuck up. So you stay at home or you find something else to do. And, eventually you get to a point to where you're disciplined enough to where you can go out and not fuck up. I haven't drank in 9 years, and I can go with my friends to the club or the bar and I don't drink. I don't have any wish to. I can do it without eating food. I'll eat before I go or whatever. I mean, if I'm contest prepping, I make it work. But depending on how close I am, I'll just to the contest, I'll just stay at home just because I'm tired anyway. But when you're initially starting, you have to learn how to not go to those things and change, because if you already start trying to incorporate them, you're going to slip. So you have to go through a period where you don't go, so that when you reintroduce yourself, you're more disciplined and you have a better head on your shoulders. Now, when it comes to the friends thing, this is the part people don't realize. You're changing your lifestyle. Even if it's temporary, you're changing it because you're trying to achieve a different goal. You have to change your environment. You have to change your daily activities, your habits, all of that. If you get into the rhythm and start doing what you got to do to get to your goal, your environment will start molding around that goal. Some friends are left behind because they don't share the same goals or anything you do, so you go do your thing, they go do theirs. But as you're doing your thing, you're coming across people that are doing similar stuff. And then you find out that, we go hiking and stuff, we want to do stuff instead of going to the bar, you want to join us, and then you do that. And next thing you know, you start changing the environment and changing your group of people you hang out with. And this isn't a bad thing. I mean, honestly, the friends you're leaving behind, if they're adults, they're going to respect what you're doing. Maybe not initially. They're going to probably make fun and stuff initially. But it's usually due to jealousy or them knowing they can't do the same thing. So they boost themselves up by talking you down. And that's what you have to realize. And a little part of you has to say, fuck you, in your head, and you have to walk away. But in the end, when you get those results, and they know you were serious, then comes the respect. So, those people that are ridiculing you or not even, they may not even ridicule you, but some of them will end up being followers because they'll see how you did it. Like, I was the last person on earth people would think would go become a trainer or anything, so I was always partying and drinking and shit. But I did it. So there's a certain level of respect there. And honestly, some of those people that I used to do that shit with now come to me for advice or have even hired me before. So the ones you're leaving behind may even come back as clients or friends that are wanting help or something like that. So it's not always a bad thing. The hard part is this transition period where you're by yourself, because you're leaving one environment and the other one hasn't really formed around you yet. So that's where people start getting uncomfortable, and they're being alone, because nobody really likes being alone. We're not, especially in this day and age, we're not used to being alone with the internet and social media and all that bullshit. People aren't used to being alone. If you ever look at some of the greats out there, they go through a period of being alone because they're trying to achieve something nobody else desires or nobody else can, and it takes longer to find other people that can, to where you create that new environment and those new friendships. So you have to push hard, and you have to get through this uncomfortable period where you're by yourself. But next thing you know, you start meeting all these people doing the same thing you're doing in the gym or wherever, and then you make friendships with them, and then everything's okay, because now you're in a group, you're in an environment that's supporting your goals. You're not in one that's fucking them up. You're in almost like a promised land. Like, you're now in this area where there's support everywhere. You're in gyms, you're around people that also bring food wherever they go, and you start meeting people in the industry that own supplement stores and all this. All these people with knowledge that are helping you, and you ask questions, and everything just starts clicking. But you have to get through that period of being alone, of that transition. And a lot of people fall off because they're not used to being alone. They're not used to finding hobbies and shit. It's like, if they're not out with their friends fucking shit up, then they're not doing anything. Or some people still think they're not cool unless they're out with their friends doing dumb shit. And it's very easy to relapse. But I think it's healthy for some people, for everybody, to go through a period where they can sustain being alone, because that's where you're going to get temptation. That's where a lot of demon stuff are going to come after you, and you have to learn to deal with it and break away from it, or harness it, or make it work for you, something like that. Because just not give in to it. And once you get through that, and then your new environment forms around you, it's easy street. Then the next step is what me and Dibs talked about in the podcast, is what do you do to get a step above that. But at that point, if you made that one transition from doing nothing to getting to this whole other lifestyle, then that next step up on the ladder should be a little bit easier, because you've already been through some of that transitioning and stuff before. So be prepared. Find stuff, hobbies you like to do, movies, hiking, whatever it is, and get ready, because that time being alone's coming. Have people you can talk to. If you have a trainer or coach, you can go to them. My best advice: stay busy. If you stay busy, you're fine. You'll probably find stuff that you can work on that you wanted to work on 5 years ago and you never had time. All kinds of shit. But that if you can get through that transition to being alone and get to where your environment changes and molds around you, you'll be good to go.